That's okay. Or I forget to do it in 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, Julia, maybe you quickly introduce yourself. So basically, Barton, he's co-founder of Mother Earth Project. He's going to welcome people, and I will say a little bit what it's about and introduce you, and then you just like go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess the idea is. Go ahead, Sandra.
Then we, of course, the participants who are all over the world, they can also share what they are locally doing, because I know that there's already a lot in the planning, but also maybe gives them some suggestion, what can they do also in their community if there's not, a climate strike already in their city. And additionally, I mean, the climate strike is on the 15th, but the big second mobilization day is on the Sunday. Yeah. But Julia, go ahead.
So most of the people on this call, many of them have already created large murals in their country, in their communities, specifically with messaging that says, stop deforestation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the same in Zimbabwe, in Tanzania. So just a lot of these people are already activated. They have parachutes for the planet projects where they're striking in streets, and Lakshmi's done that in India, dozens of times. So people are already activated, but we need to go to the next level. So that's where we sort of look to you, Julia, to sort of help us activate more.
Right. And Mother Earth Project and Parents for Future, BOSS, hello, globally, but also in Germany and on, national levels, that they're fossil fuel treaty supporting orgs.
Yeah,
fantastic. So I'll just give an overview of who's in the tent, why this kind of came about, and then I'll share some of the resources that people can use either to create or register in action, and some of the things that we've got. And then just kind of hear what people's plans are.
But there will more people coming.
Yeah.
Don't start yet your official call.
Don't worry, I'm just telling you guys what I'm going to do in case there's something else you want me to throw in there.
Yeah. Right, and then also we should ask people to put their name and then also location, and maybe we can already start this.
Yeah, I'll do that. I think we're going to wait about another 5 minutes. People are starting to join. It's 2 minutes of 9, and welcome to everybody who has arrived so far. As I just say, we are waiting for more people. It's great to see people that I know.
Yeah, and what we said earlier, you can add to your name.
Yeah, if everyone can rename themselves in the top right corner of their box, there's a rename choice, and you can add at the end, put your country so that we know what country you are calling in from. That would be great. I see Alpha has done it in Tanzania. Maybe Jack, you can do the same. Mazingira and Mayaki, you'd add your country. That would be great. Same thing with you, Andrew and Jeremy and Lamin. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi.
How are you? We're welcoming everybody. And if you could put your name, your country's name, Jeremy, next to yourself, so people know what country you are calling in from, that would be really helpful.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Jeremy Arusia Deba. I am from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I am an environmentalist activist here at Goma City. I make many climate action. We plant a tree, we clean soil, water, we put out the wastes, and so on. But now we have a big challenge out in my country, the world, M23 world near Goma. Many refugees come to take refuge here at Goma city. That is a big problem in our country.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Let me see here. Give me a second here. I'm trying to help out people.
I don't know, for some reason I cannot rename myself.
Yeah, you can't. Well, I don't
Yeah,
know
for
why
some
that
very
is.
strange reason, neither can I. Which is usually something I can see, but I can't for now for some reason.
I'm just doing it.
Me three.
Okay, thank you for telling me that. I'm just sort of doing it for everybody. Give me a second here. Okay, let me just. I don't know why that is.
Hello, everyone.
We're just getting together, everybody. Be a little patient. Let me see here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, beautiful.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hello everyone.
Everybody's starting to come in now.
Hello, Martin.
Hi there. Who's talking?
Lamin from the Gambia.
Oh, nice. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Is that Sandra?
Hello,
Hi, Sandra. How are you?
I'm fine.
I was in Bonn, Germany, attending the SB 58.
Yes, so so then you were probably also there for the launch of this fight to end fossil fuel campaign on the last day. So that is what we're going to talk about also.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
later on after the presentation, you can also share a little bit that your impression.
Okay.
Okay, we're just sort of bringing people in still, waiting for people. I'm just changing people's names. So I got pretty much everybody so far. Oh, no, I didn't. Kenya.
And Consuelo, are you still in Ecuador? Because then we have all continents.
Well, are you there?
I am in Germany now.
You're in
You're
Germany?
back?
Yeah. Yeah, I am back now. But it was very nice in Ecuador. We could do an action with the parachutes from Mother Earth, and it was a very good experience.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. It was very important because it is for an ecological reserve that is for is between Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, and these parachutes will use to demonstrate about the very important ecological reserve that because now it is a problem by mining. The government tried to explode the mining from some minerals, and but they will ask the people if it is possible to do that, or the people decided not to do that. For this reason, these parachutes is very, very good to explain a little bit with the pictures the people
That's awesome.
about that. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're getting close to starting. We have a fair amount of people on their call right now. If everyone would be kind enough to hit the mute button on their, let's see here. 1 second.
Oh. Ok, podemos ir. Porque si no, yo voy a estar aquí. Es mejor.
Okay, I think we're about ready to start. Let's see, make sure everybody is muted so we can hear our speakers today. Everyone, I just want to say hello. We're very happy to have everyone together. We've all been hopefully enjoying our summers, even though I know that Leanne, who is in Australia, is not doing summer right now. She's doing winter because she's on the other side of the underside. But anyway, today we are at a point in our world where we're experiencing a lot of extreme weather, and we knew it was going to come. But we're going to hear from a couple speakers today that are going to give us new ideas how to activate our communities. You know, we all know that on this call, we're all activists. We're focused on the environment, not only ourselves, but our community, and we have already tools to do it. And that's awesome. But there's more things we can do. We have a big climate strike coming up on September 15th. And there's other things beyond that we need to start to focus on. I think in general, coming up to this COP28 conference, that there is some indication that people have now accepted the fact that there is a climate emergency, and now there is a lot of efforts to sort of delay activating the process of not using fossil fuels anymore. And we need to continue to push to get rid of these stopgap measures of sort of encouraging the use of fossil fuels, but we can do it at the same time by sequestering carbon. That's not a good solution. We need to stop the fossil fuels immediately. So with that, I'm going to pass the meeting over to Sandra, who is is a big part of our project. She's based in Germany. She's brought the Mother Earth sculpture to Germany, to Bonn, Germany. And she is responsible for inviting the speakers for this call. So I'm going to turn it over to her. And just so that you know the format of this meeting, we're going to have two speakers speak, both Julia and Leanne. Julia's in Johannesburg, I believe, South Africa. And Leanne is in Australia. And then afterwards, we're going to open it up for discussion so that people can share things that they want to, as far as how we can activate further. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Sandra. Thank you.
Yeah, hello everybody, and it's great to have so many of you from around the world on this call. Yes, I'm based in Bonn, Germany. That's host city also of the UN Climate Secretariat, and we have here, you know, a lot of UN agencies, and then once a year in June, this kind of like pre-COP preparation conference with 5,000 delegates. And so this happened from June 5th to 15, 10 days conference. And at the narrative, I mean, it's not that easy, these negotiations. There was kind of like friction. They didn't even agree on an agenda until the kind of like very last day. But we don't really want to get into the specifics, but it's mostly in these UN conferences, also in the Paris Agreement, the F word, fossil fuels, is not used. So they talk about emission reduction and, like voluntary commitments. But the reality is the emissions are rising. It's not happening, and the focus of the civil society groups during that conference was end fossil fuels, and and then at the very last day, I mean, it's in this UN language is phasing out of oil, coal, and gas. They want to use kind of like a different framing, not phasing down or reducing fossil emissions. But anyways, and the last day of the conference, this global campaign to end fossil fuels and escalate the fight and coordinate worldwide actions. In September, at head of the UN Climate Emission Summit was launched by a very broad civil society group. And then, and what happened there, there was a press conference, there was a lot of action outside, and but we now really want to mobilize the movement. And there's excellent material, and Julia, who's based in South Africa, but working with groups worldwide, also the CAN network, that's the Climate Action Networks, and all these other allies. So we trying to mobilize, and in different groups, but also reach out to artists, faith-based communities, and other constituencies. So, Julia.
Hi, everyone.
Your presentation. And again, thank you so much for joining. I know that you're very busy these days.
Absolutely. No, this is exactly what we need. And thank you so much for framing it so nicely for me. So as Sandra said, I'm based down in Johannesburg, South Africa. It's also winter outside, so I look like a polar bear. Please excuse my video. For some reason, it keeps deciding that I am living in a disco and it goes like whoop whoop. So I might have to turn it off and restart it at some point, but I am here and I'm very, very, very happy to be in the room with all of you amazing activists. So as Sandra was saying, a wide collection of civil society organizations came together and said so many incredible grassroots youth groups, global mobilizations, action coordinations, and massive campaigns are happening around the world for the fight to get in fossil fuels. How do we show that we're actually working together in a collective, coordinated way and escalate that fight to speak with one voice? So one of the elements of that is recognizing key moments that are happening around the world. And one of them is the UNSG Summit, which will be happening in New York in September. See, there we go. Disco, disco. So one of those key moments is happening in New York in September, and there will be a global march on the 15th, and the New York-based city marches happening on the 17th of September. That's over 300 organizations so far, thousands of people in the street, with a message to take the global actions that are happening on the 15th into the actual summit, to be able to make legitimate demands against both the UNSG and governments who will be there. I don't know how much any of you know about the summit itself, but the SG has been very ambitious. It is called the Climate Ambition Summit for a reason. Basically, what's happened is there is a ticket to entry for every country to be able to participate in that summit. It is a personalized letter from the UN saying what they need to do in order to curb their fossil fuel investment and clean their emissions. So every single country has been put on notice to actually meet the agreements that they made in Paris and to the Glasgow Statement as well. Therefore, so many of us have these incredible campaigns that are happening around the world that really can be connected and amplified, and we can show off the amazing work that you're doing in your regions and globally. So I've put in the chat there, there's a website called fightfossilfuels.net. A whole ton of information can be found there. There's action packs, toolkits, information on the press conference that Sandra mentioned a little earlier on and what happened there, who was in the room. But there's also a great map where you can log actions that either you were doing before around issues in your country. We've got part of the convening organizations were Don't Gas Africa. So we have 15 so far registered actions in Africa, which include things like marches in Nigeria to photo ops in Johannesburg. It's a wide range of different actions. And what we're looking for is we completely understand that it's short timing to be able to get the masses out onto the streets. And there's also a little bit of a worry, and specifically in certain Southern Hemisphere countries, and the laws are changing in the UK about the risk of mobilizing post-COVID and what that looks like now, and the legal parameters of that. And that's also something we can help with. So if you go onto the website, log your action. You don't actually necessarily have to know exactly what it's going to be at this point. We just want to know that you are an amazing group that are doing something in your country to fight fossil fuels. And therefore we can reach out to help you with resources and toolkits and link you up to the global conversation.
And tell me the name, tell us the name of the website verbally.
It's fightfossilfuels.net. That's my little name there as well. So it's in the chat and on my little screen there. Fightfossilfuels.net. You can register to either be an action in part of the global decentralized movement, or there's also a way that you can link into the New York marches as well. So that's one element of it. But the other element is this is the first step in a 2 to 3 year escalation of the fight against fossil fuels and fossil fuel companies in particular. Because while we can make the connection to worsening climates and worsening weather and extreme weather where we are, a lot of us aren't sticking it to the people who are historically responsible and need to pay for this. And that is fossil fuel companies. So really taking it to them, escalating that fight and bringing in non-traditional actors into this conversation, widening the tent to not just climate moments. This affects healthcare workers, frontline workers, firefighters, teachers. We're looking at agricultural workers, anyone who has to work outside. A lot of this conversation has been around just transition, and rightfully so. A lot of people will lose their jobs in the moment of changing from fossil fuels to renewables and more equitable energy sources. But I think we need to frame it a lot in, and the collective feels this way as well, that we need to start thinking about how, there we go, disco. We need to start thinking about how people are already affected in their jobs, in their daily life, and how they're managing to put food on the table for their families with the climate crisis going on. So labor is a big part of this, but it's non-traditional labor. And we're also thinking about faith groups, women's groups, youth groups are heavily involved. The 15th of September is also the global strike date for Fridays for Future, and many chapters of that will be participating. And if soon the map will be populated with actions across Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Australia. I think we've got 3 registered actions in Australia so far. We just really want to hear your voice. We want to hear about the campaigns you're doing. We want to link you into the movement. We want to make sure that this has strong, powerful, decentralized, decolonial, central climate justice language moments over the next 3 years. So everything's there with the website. If you have any questions or you want to link into the moment, register an action or email me directly. I'll pop my email address into the chat, and I'm happy to advise, link up, and mentor anyone who wants to be part of this moment or the wider mobilization going forward. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And Julia, if you would just follow up by telling us a little bit about, if we all register, I mean, there is the power of the collective, but what is the hope that the fightfossilfuels.net organization plans to do with all this collective information? How are we going to advance the cause with that information?
So with the mobilizations that are happening on the 15th, there's two hashtags. There's End Fossil Fuels and Fast Fair Forever, which is actually quite a nice like chant that works really well at rallies, by the way. And this moment is not only going to be beamed across to the New York moment for an inside-outside element of the UN summit that our demands, which you can find on the website, there's 6 of them in total, all around the fossil fuel industry and greenwashing and that kind of thing, will be taken into the summit itself. But then there's also, with the network, like I said, this is a 2 to 3 year plan of targeting elections, because most major decisions when it comes to climate advocacy and policy happens locally with your government elections. We'll be looking at EU policy with the EU elections next year. There's also mobilization from this moment is the drumbeat or the stepping stone towards COP at the end of this year. And then also, you know, how we then shape and mobilize narrative and communities towards the COP in the Amazon in 2 years' time. And it all ties into a larger escalating drumbeat of collective action against not only fossil fuel companies, but government.
Mm-hmm. So we're basically trying to make the drum beat louder.
Yeah. And all together, this beautiful rhythm of multiple drums all over the world that everyone's doing this work incredibly so well so far. And all we're just trying to do is figure out where those different campaigns, coalitions, movements, moments are, to escalate them, elevate them, really shine a light on the local grassroots incredible stuff that's happening.
That's great. Well, I see we have a few questions already, but Sandra, I think, don't we want to have Leanne give her presentation first? Thank you so much, Julia, for your presentation. It was really awesome. I hope you can stay on the line some more, because I know that there is going to be some questions coming your way. But go ahead, Sandra, why don't you introduce Leanne?
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to add on the website, the campaign, the website, there's kind of like 6 demands that you can see, but they of course they can be adapted and localized, you know, to your region. And ahead of the Climate Ambition Summit, there are also some regional conferences. There's, you know, the Amazon Summit. There's the G20 Summit in September. There's also an African Climate Week in Nigeria and in Nairobi. So there will be also regional calls here for the mobilization to end fossil fuels and then tap into more like regional specific issues and concerns. Now,
sorry, I completely blanked on that. Yeah, let me just jump in there. Thank you for reminding me. We have regional calls in the first week of August. The Asia regional calls have already happened, but I'm happy to link you into who those are, because those are quite consistent with DCJ. I have an African regional call, which Don't Gas Africa will be helping to convene. If you want to be part of that, feel free to email me or reach out. And we also have on the 8th of August a EU regional call. We're looking to hopefully have that a Latin America one in the second week of August. We've just got to wait, of course, for the Amazon Summit and a lot of South America actions that are currently underway and need a bit of time.
Right, and I mean, there will be the climate marches, there will be rallies, protests, and there's a lot of this planning already in the pipe. But it's also, you know, to do, you know, maybe smaller project. I mean, you have your beautiful murals. You can, you know, maybe on a Sunday, just like do a little get together there. But it's really, yeah, there are the demands. And and there are also tools available already from other organizations. I mean, we have this wonderful visuals from the Mother Earth Project, the murals, the parachutes. But the Parents for Future, they're also a fossil fuel treaty endorsing org, and they launched last year in June, in Stockholm, also a campaign, endorsing this treaty and having a parents letter. And we feel also this is really important to reach out. I mean, the youth movement, and this is very important, but also to caregivers, parents, grandparents. And Leanne, she can now share, some campaign material, but one of our goals is really to collect and encourage people to co-sign this letter. This can be done by individuals and organizations all over the world. And this letter is already available in a lot of languages, and we like to add more, but I now give the word to Leanne.
Okay, and just a reminder, we have a lot of people who want to participate. Jim Ron, I see you have your hand up. So we're going to let Leanne speak first, and then we're going to open it up. But go ahead, Leanne.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Happy to be here, and happy to be able to share some things that you may be able to use with this End Fossil Fuels campaign. Parents, like the global parents, we have a campaign. It's called End Fossil Fuels, so it fits so well. And basically, we have a letter calling for the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is 3 of the demands that Julie's just talked on. So it all sort of fits. And parents, like there's parents, all the organizations that there are, most of the people in those organizations are parents, their grandparents. Like, so as a parent group, it's a really big, huge body sort of thing that can be noticed. And because we do stuff because we love our kids and we're trying to protect our kids and their futures. So, so what I might start with is, at the last COP, we took a video to the COP, and I might just show you. It takes about 5 minutes, but we took the voices of children to the last COP in Egypt. So I'll just share my screen and show you that. I'm showing you this because this is where the climate monster comes from, and I'm going to tell you about the climate monster after this. So I'll just share.
If you can also share, Leanne, the link to that letter in the yeah,
I will. I have a whole heap of resources, and it has a link to the letter, to this video, and all the things. So I will do that for sure. Okay, so let's just share this one and some sound. Okay.
Hey you, yes, I'm talking to you. Do you see this? Reports are coming in from my associates all over the world. Ghana, Brazil, Botswana, hi, India, hello, South Africa, hello, Marla. The grown-ups at that big climate meeting need to listen to us kids and keep us all safe. You see, my friends and I are counting on you to do much, much better to keep our hopes alive. People around the world want this too.
Leaders, please listen to kids' voices on our natural environment. Keep on planting trees for the next generation.
We're the next generation.
Our climate now is very bad if we don't do something about it.
If we were in charge, things would be different. Friends, we're sending in the dreams.
Me llamo
Lea. Tengo 3 años. Me gustan las catarinas. I dream the world to be like very beautiful green trees, many animals, and there is clean and shiny water, and we can drink it very nicely. I wish for a world where there's fresh food, fresh fruits, fresh water, and also I wish for a world where there's fresh air to breathe in. Do you see this? Here comes the climate monster, gobbling up all our dreams. We have a message for you.
Na verdade, a minha maior angústia é literalmente não saber o que o mundo vai ser. Tipo, eu tenho medo que o mundo possa ser péssimo, com várias espécies não conseguindo sobreviver daqui 50 anos, mas, de certo modo, eu ainda tenho, no fundo, alguma certa esperança na humanidade, de que as coisas não vão ser assim.
Lately, I've noticed that it's very hot in Chennai, and there are many unseasonal floods in Bangalore, and there are forest fires all over the world almost every day. And this is actually becoming scary and serious, and we need to put an end to this.
Me sedeka on this message because me first stay like the small islands in the Pacific. So if we found no fixing problem like climate change, by one day but for no got any place for stay.
I'm sending you this message because of all the bad things that have happened, like the drought, the rainbow lorikeets dying, the snow gums, and the bushfires. We could have stopped that if we had our eyes opened, and you can still stop that.
I challenge you to change the world now, and we will follow in your footsteps.
Natural disasters affect marginalized communities the most. Because of floods, adults can't be able to go to work, and it also affects us as the youth. We can't be able to go to school. Without an education, we can't achieve our dreams.
World leaders, we really need your help.
There is only one Earth. Kids first, not profit.
Leaders, listen to us children, please. Put kids first.
Didn't you get the memo? Put the kids first.
Okay, so what we've done is introduce this climate monster. So our idea now is that we have pulled the climate monster out of the movie, and we're going to get this climate monster to be seen everywhere all over the world. So hang on, I'll just share this one again. So I've actually got him in a little booklet. There's a PDF here. It has a link to the video. It explains where this climate monster comes from. And the idea is that we're going to use the climate monster to make artwork and draw him, paint him, sculpt him, make him out of everything, just print the picture of him and have him seen everywhere. And we want to really make it sound like this climate monster is everywhere, because using social media, we can do that. And we can tag the Prime Minister of places like Australia, Canada, who are exporting all the fossil fuels. So yeah, the idea is for creative people to use him in a creative way. And yeah, I think what else I've got. Basically, the climate monster is eating kids' dreams because he's eating a diet of fossil fuels. So because they're feeding him fossil fuels, he's making the fires, the floods, the droughts, and he's eating our kids' dreams of a really nice future. So if we can change his diet to renewables, he's going to make, he'll be our kids' friend, and he will make clean air and clean water, you know, peaceful, nice, beautiful existence for everybody. The future we're all trying to make for the future, sort of thing. So yeah, I'll give you a link with all this stuff on it. We've also got this also includes the one. I need to get to everybody. This link has a link to the letter, to pictures of the climate monster, to posters with QR codes for the fossil fuel treaty letter. So yeah, and it has my email. If people want to just send pictures of climate monsters to me. The mums in Poland have used this over the last couple of months. They have had artwork from kids from 4 years old to 14-year-olds and adults doing stuff. So it's stuff that everybody can do. And even just to have a picture of him at whatever event that you're doing, which might be morning tea or it might be anything, we can still make it look like this climate monster's all over the world. So I'll just
Thank you, Leanne. And it's really interesting, the idea of a climate monster. It's sort of an idea that is sort of visualized, and I like it. You know, and we might all consider taking that little monster and putting it on our murals as well, because it's sort of like this. I don't know. There's something about it that it's very it's powerful. I'm absorbing this idea, but I find it really powerful. So thank you so much, Leanne.
Yeah, so it wasn't just my idea either. There was a heap of amazing mums that came up with this and made the video and put it all together. So I've so far I've got to like print him out. I've had him with the Barbie doll strike, since Barbie's in the news everywhere over here at the moment. And I've made him out of plasticine, so I think people are more talented than me.
Well, yeah, we all are helping out. I would like to open up the this Zoom call to some people that have already asked to speak. I know, Sandra, I see your hand up. Do you want to say something before we ask people to go on?
Yeah, and I also want to, I mean, for example, here in Germany, the parents, they have also already created another monster. It's a kid climate monster. It's actually a good monster, and, you know, like educating. And when you do artwork around the monster, I mean, it doesn't have to look that way. But I think this is something that can be adapted and you know, people can relate to. And now, I mean, the Fridays for Future, there's a youth movement. I mean, and they can raise their own voices. But we, as a parents of, you know, smaller children, or, you know, like grandparents, you know, with young grandchildren, it's, you know, we have to be also their advocates, and that's what this kind of like parents letter is about. I mean, it's just like one way to raise awareness and also reach people a little bit emotionally. But yeah, again, thank you so much for the presentation and in sharing of all this great material. And then, of course, I know that you have questions, and so go ahead.
Yeah, so I saw a couple questions. I saw Jack from Kenya. So Jack, I'd like you to go first. You had your hand up. Maybe you can unmute yourself and you can direct your questions to everybody, or if you want to direct them to Leanne or Julia, that would be awesome. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much.
Jack,
my
maybe
name is Jack Mazingira. I'm from Kenya. I run an organization called Towards Green Environment. Can you hear me?
Yeah, maybe if you would, could you turn off your video just to make sure we hear your voice clearly? And then you can turn on your video afterwards. But go ahead, everyone.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Barton, for having me. My name is Jack Mazingira. I'm from Kenya. I am a climate advocate. I run an organization called Towards Green Environment that I founded in 2019. I had a question for Julia. And thank you so much, Julia, for that wonderful presentation. Thank you, Lynn, for what you're doing. It's a bit unique, very peculiar. The messages are very clear with the young kids. Thank you so much. Yes, I wanted to ask Julia about two things based on what they're doing, whether they're also doing something around aspect of overpopulation and overconsumption. Okay, because from my side, I have come to realize that two major things or two major attributes contributes majorly to environmental change, not just climate change, and that is the aspect of population and the aspect of overconsumption. Population, scientifically, we've exceeded the carrying capacity of the planet. Okay, and that means when population grows, there's need to sustain that population. Mm-hmm. Sustaining that population requires production. More production requires more emissions. And that is where we're having issues of climate change. So I wanted to ask Julia if they're also doing something around population separation, because I do a lot around that. Also, the aspect of overconsumption, that has been a habit on humankind. And I'm glad that Lynn is working with young people, the kids. That is something we need to introduce to young people, inflict that kind of knowledge into them, such that when they're growing, we try and support that culture that has been carried forward. So those are the two questions I wanted to ask Julia about that. Otherwise, thank you so much for what you're doing. And this is beautiful. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Jack. And anybody who wants to ask a question, just put your yellow hand up. But go ahead, Julia.
Thank you, Jack. I really admire what you're doing and the work that you're participating in Kenya. However, that's not necessarily a central part of this mobilization. That's predominantly the 6 demands around, no new fossil fuels, keep it in the ground, no greenwashing, and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, like I said, this is a large tent moment that while we're trying to say fossil fuel companies are the face and the cause and need to pay retributions for what they're doing, specifically in Africa. One of the major things is we want to know about how activists are working collectively and together in creating this drumbeat. So if you register an action, you want to do something in your town, the demands are a guideline with and we'll know about it if you use the hashtags, but they can double down into more localized issues and demands for your location, your campaign, how you're doing things. Be creative, be inventive. Actions don't all have to have the same face and slogans and those kind of things. If it's something that's passionate to you and something that is really important to the people around you, that's an action. That's a moment in conversation. So it's not necessarily central to our core demands. And I think in a lot of situations, overpopulation is a buzzword for controlling certain parts of the world. But overconsumption is definitely an issue with the fossil fuel companies and how they control the flows of money and create poverty in the areas that they operate. So that's definitely like something that you can highlight within the campaign. There's room for everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Julia, for that response. And Jack, I hope that was helpful. I'd like to also call on now Jimran from Bangladesh, who is in the process of creating a second, actually of 3 unbelievable murals in Bangladesh. But Jimran, why don't you go ahead and please ask your question. You can direct it to anyone you would like, or to everyone. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for inviting me and also to talk something. So we are in Bangladesh, organize different kind of murals and different kind of mobilization and climate strike. Last time we are in Bangladesh in global climate strike, we are organized a student movement in Bangladesh. I am sharing in message chat box. Can you please show the video? It's helpful for all the members who are joining the campaign in future. Also, stopping fossil fuels and how to promote renewable energy source in all over the world. Thanks from my side.
Yes. Okay. Jimran, are you talking about the video of your mural in particular, or
No, I'm sharing the message box in Zoom.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Sandra, do you want to say something before we invite Laxmi from India to share a few words? Go ahead.
I just like to add to, and of course, the, like climate action and transition from fossil fuel to renewables. These are only 2 of the 17 sustainable development goals, and health and reproductive health, but then also empowerment of women. I think these are really key issues, because when you educate women, I mean, the birth rates go down right away. So women empowerment and really also using women as change makers. And women are making 70 to 80% of all purchasing decisions. So they really have a power, it's also overconsumption. So I think we need to look at this. This is all interrelated and interlocked, and there's also a report that I put in the chat that was published last year and really shows how, our addiction to fossil fuels is so related to all SDGs. They cannot be accomplished if we continue, to burn this energy and, hurt our planet and our health. And we have to live in our planetary boundaries. And yes, we also dealing with multiple planetary crises. It's a climate crisis, it's a biodiversity crisis, it's pollution, but it's also, social issues and so forth. And I think you can relate in your actions, but if you participate, all this.
Yeah,
but
I think that the mural.
Yeah.
I think that the murals are an important message opportunity for everybody to not just write down, stop deforestation, but, you could also say women's rights, or we need to focus on reducing, eating meat or whatever. That's what, we've been pushing everyone to make sure they focus on what's important for their community. I have 2 people with their raised hands. I see Laxmi from India. Laxmi, will you please share? Laxmi also brought a Mother Earth sculpture to Jaipur, which is her hometown in the center of India. And she has done an amazing amount of education amongst schools and universities all over India. So Laxmi, why don't you go ahead and share, if you have a question in particular for Leanne or Julia, that would be awesome. Go ahead, please. Laxmi, are you with us? Okay, well, when you come back, Laxmi, just...
Yeah, and I saw that Julia in the chat has to leave soon. So if you have any question, directly for her, maybe that's now the time.
Okay, so Lamin from Gambia, will you share, if you have a question for Julia, that would be awesome. And I see also we have Smith coming up too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Martin. My question goes to Julia, and I will want Sandra to buttress on it. I have a concern, which is why is it that the presidency of COP27, the president himself, who is the chief executive officer for Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, who's supposed to be the leading factor, if I can put it that right. Why is it that he's been chosen as the COP presidency whilst we are fighting for the end of fuel and nothing has been done with it, and he has been facing a lot of criticism towards that. So what can we do as climate activists?
So your question has to do with why was an oil magnate chosen to head COP28, and what can we do to stop that going forward? Julia, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's a huge problem. And I think a lot of our activism around the COP this year really has to change, and how we use COP as a moment as activists has to change. So that's why predominantly we're doing a lot of action in September and creating this drumbeat for other moments, because I think I think we need to boycott the COP in the first, because sending money to an oil rich country that has severe human rights and women's rights issues is a major problem. And going forward, I think, being corralled by security forces at COPs is no longer an effective way of activism, in my opinion. And I think we really need to start holding the fossil fuel companies, banks that are funding them, the insurance companies that are holding them up, the governments who have still got their hands in each other's pockets for subsidies, all of those kind of things, I think is where we need to focus our target and take the power away from these COP presidencies, which are really just showboat moments. I don't know if that answers the question. That's just a little rant on my behalf.
Yeah, and Australia's possibly on the list to have Australia Pacific COP after Brazil too. So, yeah, we're probably more likely to try to convince our government sort of thing than the one that where it is this year. So.
Yeah, because it was also directed to me. I mean, it's what we can see at UN conferences. There's a lot of calls, to get the polluters out. And at last year's COP, it was also revealed that there were, like 600 fossil fuel lobbyists, at the conference, and we cannot really. Christina Figueres, she did, a very strong piece, that she was so disappointed, them making record profits, and not really contributing. And we can also see this in the General Secretary, Antonio Guterres.
Right.
Recent speeches and calls like if you that's a big concern to everybody, and this is also why he basically said you cannot come to this climate ambition summit and not deliver.
Okay,
so I think what the concern that you voicing, I mean, this is shared by the climate justice movement, and this is also the September mobilization. This is our opportunity to say enough is enough. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. We have two people that haven't heard from yet. One is Smith from Nigeria, and then we'll hear from Alpha in Tanzania. Go ahead, Smith.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Barton, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, my question is directed to any of the facilitator. Lini can take it, and Julia is no longer there. Anyone can take it. But the question is, I'm from Nigeria, and we
I'm
have
still
a
here for
peculiar.
5 minutes. You've still got me.
5 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'll be quick. I won't take our time. So I'm from Nigeria. We have a peculiar situation in the part of the Niger Delta where I'm resident in. what we call the black suit, and this is as a result of the impact of climate change. What the burning of fossil fuel from the multinationals over time. Now, how do we handle this? I've been doing certain advocacy. I've carried out climate strike movement here in Port Harcourt since 2019 and present. I've even done parachute, campaign with some students just to also create further awareness from support from Dr. Barton. So how do we make further engagement to hold the government accountable, to hold the multinationals accountable? So how do we push this further? And then lastly, how do we participate in certain conferences like the COP28 that is coming? How do we get support, to be part of this, and then we'll air this and engage them directly and other conferences as well? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Smith. Go ahead, Julia, if you want to, and also Leanne. Go ahead, Julia.
So one of the important moments of this, I keep referring to this as a drumbeat, and it's these stepping stones and moments of amplification and bringing together and connecting. And of course, we've got the African Climate Summit happening beginning of September, end of August. Before that, that's a very important moment to kind of share the mobilization, share the language, share the narratives, and bring more and more organizations into the fold. So that's a key moment. There will also be marches, a concert, possibly an activation all happening in Nairobi at the time for that. There's also actions and mobilizations around the Ecuador referendum against oil drilling that's coming up later on this month. And speaking specifically about the Get the Polluters Out program, there is the intelligence conference that's happening in the UK in October, I think. And the presidents of the COP will be there speaking to oil companies, and we're hoping to shut that down. So there are these key moments of, if we can identify other massive conferences or convergences where people are, we can help support those as key build up or amplification post drumbeat moments. So please let us know about them. We have weekly calls to kind of highlight these things, and a calendar of mobilizations and actions happening around the world. So if you want to be on that and part of the socials push for activisms that are happening outside of the 15th, let us know. But our main focus right now is to try and make sure that your actions get a moment at the SG Summit by having an action on the 15th of September.
And I would like to also add to Julia that, putting up a mural in your community is a very powerful way to get people more aware, but it doesn't have to stop there. You can also start to have conversations with your politicians and say, we would love to show you this mural, and have a conversation and a photo opportunity, which will be good for you because it'll show that you're thinking about the environment. And you start these conversations, and suddenly, look, we're faced with some hope and futility at the same time. So we're not going to, this is not science. Making changes like this doesn't happen overnight, but we're trying to push it to happen as fast as possible. And engaging your politicians in any way you can is a very powerful way of moving the needle forward. I just wanted to add that. Now I'd like to ask Alpha from Tanzania to share, and also please, anyone who's interested in asking a question to our speakers, please put your hand up. Thank you. Go ahead, Alpha.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Barton and all participants. I'm happy to be part of this session, and the insights from the speakers are good. And I'm happy that now we are engaging youth and children in the climate change dialogue, because we need to promote their participation. We need to make them part and parcel of the climate change dialogue. If really we need a change, we need the outcomes we are dreaming of. Yes, and I'm happy that now we are seriously promoting the use of clean energy in order to refrain ourselves from the negative impacts of climate change. And it is sure that climate change is real, and you really need to take serious actions. So we in Tanzania, we are ready for the coming campaigns in September. We are going to participate fully as agents of change, and we have good experiences of using the murals and the parachutes in conveying the climate messages among different stakeholders in Tanzania and East Africa in general. So what I need to urge or to recommend is to make sure that we also promote these climate actions by engaging the local media, because the media has the power to amplify our voices. So I'm encouraging each and everyone to use the community radio, to use the local TV, even to contribute features in local magazines in order to convey these messages. But doing so, we need not to forget the populations of youth and the children in the climate dialogue, like the videos we have seen in the previous presentation. So this is the contribution, and we are going to fully participate in these campaigns. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Julia, why don't you share a little bit about media and how you guys engage media? And I think everyone could always learn a lesson about that.
One of the great parts of how this whole thing works and how the collective has come together is we have multiple teams of very interested and very skilled comms people within the different organizations. So Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty in particular has created a lot of the design work and the shared visuals and images and that kind of thing. But we work as a collective. So we very much plan a very structured outlay of these are the kind of hit organizations that we want to send op-eds to or engage with. We also have a list of influencers that we think will reach interesting and interested different elements of the bodies. We've also got outputs of video scripts, and we've got some great volunteers who at the moment are youth activists trying to come up with TikTok videos for us, some nice viral dances and interesting things. And it's about kind of throwing every idea you have at the wall and then going, who's going to absorb this, who's going to take this in, and who's going to help us get it out there. So this is one of those spaces where we're hoping that a lot of the content and incredible visuals and stuff that we create will be taken forward by most of you in this room, but also just the wider we build the circle, the more people we can attract and get in touch with. And of course, incredible people like Sandra, who basically know everyone, is able to kind of point us in the direction of, if you're looking for the right media voice or placement audience or that kind of thing for an article in Germany per se, these are the people to go to.
Right.
So it does take planning. It's not just I've got something to say, someone's going to listen. It's about making a noise despite all of the noise that's out there, and making what you're saying really stick with an amazing team of volunteers.
And I think to that point, engaging younger people in our community who are very focused on social media, they have all sorts of ways of penetrating the media in organic ways that other people are not as well equipped to do that. So that's one thing you could do, is just get the young kids that are like, in their teenagers and young kids in their 20s to get involved. And I'm sure they'll be able to take the ball. I see the Jack.
I must jump off. I'm really, really sorry, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. And any questions or things you have, please direct them to the email or onto the website. And we look forward to contacting and speaking to you all soon. Sandra is here. She knows far more about all of this than I do. So I'm sure she can answer a lot of your questions going forward. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Julia. Really appreciate you being with us today. Thank you so much. Okay, I see, Jack, before I get to your second question, I'm going to invite Omobola, because she hasn't actually spoken yet. So I'll give her a chance. Omobola is from Nigeria. Why don't you go ahead, and if you have a question for Leanne or for others, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Barton. I would just do a short introduction of myself. I'm the founder of Urban Tree Revival Initiative in Nigeria, and I thank you for inviting me to be a part of this meeting. And we are making plans as well in Lagos, Nigeria, and not just in Lagos, across Nigeria, for our annual climate awareness, because we participate annually since 2019. basically. So I actually joined the meeting late, and I apologize for that. So, but then I just want to know, I would like to, get some details about the specific date for this climate awareness march, so that we can, climate strike, so that we can, key our plans that is currently going on into this. And then if there are also possibility for some sort of support, even if it is just for the banner and Mother Earth murals and all, if there are any such provisions available for us. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I can answer that quickly because I was yesterday on a call. There is some funding available. So and there also, I want you to have a look at Our Kids Climate. They also have micro grants that you can apply for. That has been discussed. There's actually also a working group for that, and I also, I think the main focus right now, because the map where you can put in your actions is now open. It doesn't have to be, like yet so detailed, but anything that, on the 15th, 17th, or 16th, it's already, you're doing it, get that in registered. For example, in Germany, there are already 96 climate strikes and marches registered, but this information has to, move into the global map to really show that this is happening all over the world.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have Julia's contact. You can center what your needs are and what you're planning, and then there will be some funding available.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So in Nigeria alone, we are convening in at least 10 different locations, and one of my team members is also present on this call. So she probably, Mama can also say one or two things.
Okay. Did you say somebody else wanted to speak, Omobola, or I didn't?
I mean,
know?
I also, because Leanne is working more closely with Our Kids Climate. Yeah, there's this mini grants, but they've been working, they've been creating this video. So, but you need to be a little bit concrete about what you're doing, what is this for, and what are you planning? But I think they can help you out. I mean, at least with a little bit funding.
Okay. And is there an email or a link to do that?
Okay.
Julia put her email in the map, and there will be also there will be regional calls, Africa. She shared that in her earlier presentation, and there's a recording. So and then I think you're also going to maybe save the chat, with all this information, the links that we're going to put in there.
This is the website, fightfossilfuels.net, and that's where most of the information can be found.
Right.
Okay, and that's where you should, right here, this button, register an action anywhere. That's what we're asking everyone to hit that button and enter your action, because the more people we have registered, the larger the movement can be recorded collectively, and we can see that there are, millions of people around the world focused on that.
Okay. Fightfossilfuel.net. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Fossilfuels.net.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Jack, if you don't mind, I'd like to call somebody else who hasn't spoken yet. We have Asma from Egypt. So, Asma, can you go ahead and ask a question if you have for Leanne or whoever?
Hello, Dr. Crichton. Hello, Lillian. First, I would like to appreciate all of you. You really do amazing work and expressing about our interest to taking part here in Egypt to keep our kids and school students involved in taking action, especially nowadays we are facing heat waves which attacked our daily lives. We cannot breathe, so it will be great to keep pushing our leaders to take serious action. And we just finished on 22 July. It was Climate Emergency Day, and looking forward for another action and another action to move to clean energy. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Jack, why don't you go ahead with your second question, and then we'll get to Binu from India. Go ahead, Jack.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barton. Mine is more of a concern, and I got that from the question that was asked about the coming COP28, whereby the person that has been in the forefront on trading on oil is going to be in charge. So my concern has always been, and I don't know whether this is the right platform to ask that question, because it has been bothering me for some time now. You find that statistically a plane emits about 185 grams of CO2 per kilometer. And every year, annually, we travel, thousands of kilometers, creating a lot of emissions to go and solve or talk about emissions. Okay. So my question has always been, if we are very much, true to the course of finding a solution to climate change, can't we hold these conferences virtually? Can it work? For example, the COPs, can it work if we can hold them virtually? Must we travel distances to go and talk about emissions when we are emitting while going to such conferences? So that brings me to the politics around climate change, and that has been bothering me a lot. I don't know whether it's true we can embrace technology and do the same about that, other than wasting a lot of resources, causing a lot of emissions, traveling to go and solve or talk about emissions when we are doing that. So to me, it's more of greenwashing. It's more of double speak. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the double speak problem is a big problem. And look, everybody is trying their best. And as much as we do, there's always something right next to us that we're doing that is not, is double speak, that we're hypocrites. But even still, Jack, we have to just realize that we're just trying our best to push forward as fast as possible. So thank you for that. And I understand your frustration. Before Sandra, for a second, I'd like to just invite Binu to speak from India. Binu is also a major activist in India, and she has created numerous murals in schools and other places. So go ahead, Binu, please ask your question.
Thank you, Dr. Barton. Hello, everyone.
Go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah. Just I want to share, we are doing a lot of activities, as you said, about climate change and environment. Apart from these activities of murals and the parachutes, just last month, we are organizing a speech marathon on environment topic. Around 1,000 of participants from small kids to the 85-year-old citizens. They participate on the environment awareness, and this was a world record event and appreciated by all media and politicians and all. And we are doing and planning a lot on, and as Julia and all speaking about women empowerment and women involvement in the society. And we are planning a lot. I'll share with you our plan, and we are planning a lot with taking the women in this direct involvement. And definitely we are doing going to do a lot in next 6 months in our society. Thank you. That's my.
Yeah. Binu, and I have to say, Binu and Laxmi and all the people that we work with in India are very good at engaging media. I have to say, I'm not sure what you're doing so successfully, but you're very good at getting the media involved. Is that because you're friends of the media, or is it because you're constantly calling them and bugging them, or what is it that you're doing?
No,
so
it's
successful?
actually, Dr. Barton, it's actually, we are doing that too much genuinely. They media approach directly to us, what are you doing? And this is the so direct impact on the society. Naturally, they are friendly because of our work, not because of our personality or other thing.
Your perseverance. So you're saying that the media is actually very interested in you. So it's a good relationship you have. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add to it, and because I'm also a journalist, you also have to deliver journalists what they want, and they want good visuals. They really want to have an advance notice. You have to send out a media advisory to your local media with a, not 3 pages, very much focused ahead of time. And the fossil fuel treaty, the initiative in the link that they sent out, there's a really good explanation of what has to be done when, and it really follow their advice. It's Julia put that in because when you do an action and nobody knows about it, the media cannot come. But you cannot send out a press release a day prior to the event. So there has to be some planning. And when you do social media, sorry, use the hashtags, because then others can find you. And Twitter, media, they out there, they're looking for good stories, but they need to find you. That's why you need to have to use certain hashtags. That's also my advice. And then also the call. I want to answer about this. Yes, that is a concern of many people. But after this 3 COVID, kind of like lockdown years and, going online and hybrid, some people, they also feel it's very beneficial for activists, for groups to again connect in person. But what's also happening, they're kind of like regional conferences ahead of COPE. That's what I said. There's the African Climate Weeks, there's the Amazon Summit, there's India, the G20 Summit. So maybe we should also look at these regional conferences, and not everybody has to fly into COPE. So I think this is totally crazy. For example, the next COPE might happen in Bonn because the way it's happening within the UN system. These are almost 200 countries. And then a certain region is hosting a COPE, and everybody has it's happening everywhere. The next one, the COPE 29, is supposedly should be in Eastern Europe, but because of the Ukraine war, they cannot agree on a country. So if in that case, they cannot agree on anything, and it happened with Fiji, because of natural disaster and a cyclone. They couldn't host the COP23. Then it comes to Berlin, to Bonn.
Right.
The question why we still doing these COP conferences now almost for 30 years, I don't know.
That's stupid. They
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
Well, let's
but go there to protest, to stand against it. But the oil, like everybody knows, right? The oil sales, they went up. So yeah. And if you ask some people to protest in the street, they get killed. Some of them, some areas in Amazon and so, and Congo,
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe as so.
Well, I think we're in a situation where
not to mention the steel industry, the whole industry, cranked up for the new technology, and the windmills and the electric cars. So the steel industry is running over time. Who is going to fix that problem? The pollution from the steel industry.
Yeah.
Did anybody think about that? Because the Shell did not.
Yeah. So I'd like to, we're almost at the 1 hour and a half moment, and I'd like to see whether Laxmi is available to speak, and if not, then Lamin has a second question. Laxmi, are you there or not? I'm just wanted to give you one more opportunity to speak since I had asked before. I guess she's not there. So Lamin, did you have a follow-up question from Gambia? If so, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just want to buttress on what Jack has already said about the COP, for us to be doing it in hybrid. I want to say, Jack, if you have any COP experience, the way UNFCCC, the way they normally do their COP settings, it is kind of amazing. You have different meetings. You have B77, their meetings. You have other workshop, youth engagement, the youth pavilions, other things. So you cannot have all those things online. People must come together in person, to discuss pertinent issues, to find solutions towards, natural disasters and other things. Fossil fuels, we have to advocate against it. Every day people are advocating against it. A lot of things. To go to Martin and Sandra, I am suggesting why not more at project? Why not we have annual gatherings of our country representatives? I'm just suggesting, it's just a suggestion. So you people can, can talk, throw more lights on this that I'm suggesting with. It will be helpful for us to gather together, and exchange ideas in person and a lot of things together. That's what I want to say.
So what are you saying that you are suggesting, Lamin? Could you say that again a little bit slower so we can hear?
For us to have annual gatherings, maybe in a summit or conference or whatsoever, so that we can come together and, discuss so many issues together.
Okay. I mean, similar to what we're doing now, but you would have like a larger gathering, you're saying?
Yes, in person, to be precise.
Yeah. I just want to, as we come to an end, I'm always reminded of the beginning of my journey as an activist. I had the pleasure of meeting Vice President Al Gore, who people might know was very involved in the beginning of the climate movement. And I had lunch with him, with amongst other people. And this was right before the Inconvenient Truth movie came out. And I went up to him and I said, I really, what can I do? What should I do? What can I do? And he said, his response to me, which was very difficult to swallow, was he just said, get involved. That's all he said to me, get involved. So it took me about 8 years before I started the Mother Earth Project. And, and now we all know what the Mother Earth Project is. But I think what my main point is that everybody on this call has to use your own imagination. We have to think of ways to engage your communities, your region, and the world on all levels in any way that you can imagine. Okay, there's no rule book here. We need to change the behavior of the world, and it's happening. But the only thing that's going to stop us from moving more quickly is our own imaginations. We just have to use our imaginations. I mean, I know like Evelyn in Uganda.
All the solutions are there.
Yeah. It
They
does
are all
so
there.
many wonderful things in Uganda. Her murals have very specific things that she wants her community to do. And it's just very powerful. So use your imaginations as much as possible. I'd like to just have some concluding remarks, maybe from Leanne and Sandra, and then bring this to a close. It was really wonderful to be together today. But why don't you go ahead, Leanne? I know you're ready to go to bed.
Yes, I am for about 4 hours. I have an early start too. Yeah, so great that everybody would listen to the stories. I'm seeing that in the chat that that Anne Grace from Uganda says that maybe she might use these things in school. I just want to think that the climate monster doesn't just appeal to kids. Like I made a little, just a little brochure. It had the picture of the little green guy and the QR code on it. And people would normally be walking away because they think you're trying to sell them something or do something. They were seeing this thing and they were saying, what's this? What's it about? Because it had no other information on there, and they had to start that conversation. So then you could start the conversation talking about, oh, it's been so hot, or gee, the floods are terrible, and starting to talk to people about things that matter to them. My kids couldn't sleep because it's just so hot and stuff, and how do you cope with what do you do to make it cooler? Is there anything you can do? And just to be able just to talk to just normal people who are not in our bubble sort of thing, in the climate bubble. So with that fossil fuel treaty letter, that's another really great thing for parents, grandparents, anybody, to say that you can help just by signing this letter. It takes you 2 seconds to do it, sort of thing. So yeah, they're really ways that I've found that are good and easy. I'm in the middle of nowhere. We have toy strikes. I make a toy strike with little signs and stuff for the dolls that my daughter's grown out of, and just put them onto the social media and stuff. So it's just whatever it takes, just any little action really can help make a difference. So
thank you, Leanne. Sandra, you want to make some quick final remarks, and then we'll all you
right? And I was kind of like happy that you mentioned Al Gore, because on the last Global Networks call yesterday, there was also people from the Climate Reality Project that he initiated. Correct. So we have allies around the world, and they're also chapters. Here we have someone on the call from Kenya. They also have resources that we can use. And when you click on this current link of the Climate Reality Project website, you see a parachute. So we already connected, but now it's kind of like raising our voices in unity around the globe in September. This is what this End Fossil Fuel campaign is about. This is not the end of the struggle. That's what Julia said. It's an ongoing thing. We are right now facing climate breakdown around the world, but we're not powerless.
Yeah, and all the groups, they are splintered.
Right. Exactly. We need to, join forces, get together.
Yeah, but how? Because everybody's asking that question. Because you have Extinction Rebellion and Fridays for Future and all the big, the Greenpeace and not everybody, but they're all splintered. And is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? Could it go better?
Well, this End Fossil Fuel global campaign and escalation is an attempt to get all these groups, and there's so many, and and more, getting on board, together in one call.
Okay, so that's the fast fare forever.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so that's the. Then with this with this you're going to try to get everybody together like one big pack.
Well, I mean, we're not going to accomplish this in a few weeks.
No.
This is a long-term project, but this is kind of like the start. I mean, we are many.
Yeah, I think it's quite clear that there are millions of people, millions of foot soldiers out there that are willing to work together, and we have to just continue to try to work collectively. I think we need to bring our time together to a close. So if everyone could turn on their video, and we'd like to finish our meetings by holding a parachute together, and lifting our hands and pretend like we're holding a parachute together. This is like our way of feeling like we're holding a large parachute around the world. Somehow this gives me the shivers, but this is great. This is feel like we're all working together. This is like my collective way of saying, we all love each other and we're all working together towards a common cause. So it's really great to be together, and let's shake the parachute. Okay, everyone turn off their mute and just sort of say hello for the last minute or so. And it's great to hear everyone's voice.
Hello. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. I have one question for you before you leave, because we're trying to make this parents' letter available in as many languages as possible. So if you think that, like maybe, a language version translation in Bengali and other languages would be useful, and you could maybe, I mean, so far, we have it in Igbo and Yoruba, but Swahili,
French,
French. Yeah.
French. I mean, I think it's not only just like putting stuff out all the time in English, because I mean we are, we also have to think about to reach people in their native languages, and I think the parents of the future, they're really working on that. So if you can help to get more language versions.
Yeah, make sure that your murals are both in English and also your local language. Okay, so if you want to, you're welcome to go back to your murals and add, different texts. So think about that.
Dr. Barton, I'm working on the same. I'm working on that. I'm really doing a lot of translation of climate change, the local languages, because there are people who don't understand the main languages, English, French, whatever, Portuguese, but also have that right to understand the state of the climate. They have the right to know what is happening. So I'm doing that work as well. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Thanks,
if anyone does want to do the translation to another language, let me know, because I can send you the documents to translate into. And also the Climate Monster booklet. It's in Polish so far, but like we can do it into any other languages as well, sort of thing. So I have documents that I can just send that you just copy and put the translation into.
Okay, well,
And,
Leanne,
yeah.
if you send them to me, I can post them on our WhatsApp thread. You're part of our WhatsApp thread, so you can also post it there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tomorrow or the next day, I'll do it. Okay.
Afternoon, good night, good morning, good day.
Good day. Thank you for the great meeting. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.